So we'll start this video off in the Tango Towers chapel, and we've got here something I bought on eBay, probably for £10 and not worth anything, which is a Maxon PM100 business radio, and these were £299 plus VAT at the time, and they'll do a good 25 watts. But the key thing here is UHF. Most of these will be VHF, you see. So you see it's U1 band. So if we had the service manual in front of us, which we don't, we could say what that does, but it will go on ham radio usually. So we need to program it, and that's what we're here to do. So I'm going to turn this from a business radio, and most business radios don't have many channels because, as far as the UK government goes, you get one channel for every 100 mobiles. So if you had a taxi fleet with 90 cars, you're given one channel. If you have a taxi fleet with 2 cars, you'd be given two. If you had a taxi fleet with 110 cars, you'd be given 2 channels, so you can split the working, perhaps for a bit more convenience. So it's not oh, they're crap. That's not what it's about. And of course, it's all about ease of operation for people who aren't interested in two-way radio. They just want on-off volume, and usually the channel's going to be stuck on channel 1. So they don't have squelch on here, but it does have monitor. We can program that so it overrides the squelch. Auxiliary would be for an option like selective calling. So I'm not going to try this in its as it's come. Chances are it's going to work. They're very, very reliable, and it's 20,000 hours mean time before breakdown. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get the DOS computer out, or one of the DOS computers out, and let's see if we can program it with SMP 6001. I don't know. Let's see. Right, so we'll switch on our Toshiba T1910 computer. So I think it's SMP 6001. Long time since I've done one. Okay. How do we get into this? And give us a clue. That doesn't look right, does it? Oh, there we go. So we're on a black and white screen. Not easy. So with PM100 UHF, I'll get that plugged into the radio. And what we have to do, this is going to be so difficult to see. We've got contrast. Yeah. Press spacebar. Well, go into enter. Read radio. So switch off the radio. Press and hold down the monitor button. Switch on the radio. That's whilst pressing the monitor button. The busy light will flash. Release the monitor button after the first flash. Here it goes. So now we press the monitor button again, and it's reading it. Switch off the radio, and as you can see, it's got a ham radio frequency in it, so the person that sold it me has put it on ham radio already, but we're going to just change the channels. Now these are difficult to edit, but I think we can do 2. And I want standard spacing, and I want 433.5. No CTCSS or anything, so that's off. 433.5, and we'll have that on high power. Except we're still on low. Let's go for 3. 433.525. No option. 433.525. And power option, we toggle it with H. No option. Channel 3, which is what I thought I was programming. 433 standard. 433.525. No change. 433.525. High power. No option. Channel 4 is actually what I want. 0.55. That's interesting. We want it on the high power. Now, I can't remember the repeater details. I'm going to have to look that up and come back to it. Okay, so I've got the information. It's a strange split. So we're on receive. It's 430.85. And on receive, I don't want any CTCSS. On transmit is 438.45. Want high power, and I want 71.9. I'm glad I checked that because it was previously. I can't see the cursor at all on this. Oh dear, that's going to be fun, isn't it? Back to 1. So this time it's 162.2. I'll tell you what we're going to do to get around this. I'll put it down as a non-standard CTCSS tone. So, channel 2, I wanted on 433.5, but that didn't happen. So 433. It's very frustrating software, this. If you're doing it all day, you'd get used to it, but certainly not using a black and white screen. 433.5, high power, options off. It's 525, 525, 550. As far as I can see, that's exactly what we want. So we're on timeout timer, I do want a timeout timer, 6, 12, 18. Hang on, we've got across the road. 6, 12, put 180 seconds on that. Don't need TX delay, TX lockout. Don't need to do that. It's not like on a commercial thing. Monitor we want on. Don't need scanning. It does all this. Bleeps are on. Hanger functions when you put the mic up, whether it overrides the CTCSS and things like that. Don't need any of that. So program radio. So this time we let it go for 2 flashes. 1, 2. Except I didn't press the right button. Try again. And then I press the monitor button and it should write that. I'll save the data. Okay, so we'll go back into my domain, and if we switch picture in picture on, which is, I'm looking on the remote and it's on the control console. There we go. I don't want it there, I want it there. So let's put it on channel 2, which should be 433.5. So we're showing 20 watts, 433.49845. So it's, let's go over to the frequency counter. 433.49845. So it's our frequency. And that's to be expected because these are now 20 years old. I've left a service manual in the chap. I've still got this serious chest infection and throat infection. The two have kind of met in the middle. And I'll tell you what, it's a struggle to do 20 minutes. And the phone's ringing. Okay, so managed to answer the phone. I've managed to go across to the chapel and get the service manual back. Yeah, 100 quid at the time. All Maxon service manuals were 100 quid. So we want to set up the radio, because I can't remember what the adjustments are. It's 25 watt. What did he say what the specification was? 440 Yeah, it's 400 to 430 without retuning. It's down band. So we've got to do a bit of retuning. Okay, that tells you how to test it, but we want to know how to adjust it. Oh, here we go. So VCO, which I'm hoping we don't have to touch. Test points there, VCO's there. This has already been on handband, so the fact it's locking on all channels tells me that that's already done. We can check it, and it is. Let's have a look. So VCO test point 1, as I say. It should be 2 volts. On the VCO adjust L356. That was TC101 on UHF for 2 volts. Test point 1, measure it's less than 7 volts on what? Receive. So on transmit, they're expecting 2 volts. No, it's not what they're saying. They're saying that you don't want it to be above 7 volts on any of the received channels. On transmit, it needs to be below 12 volts. So, I may as well do that. So below 7 on receive and below 12 on transmit. I think we're at a negative ground, but better get our crocodile clip going. Try and find something sensible to put an earth to. How about that screen? So test point 1, I need about 5 pairs of glasses to see this. You can see we've got 5 volts. Going to transmit. It's me shorting it out. And we've got 10 volts on transmit. Now I'm going to go to channel 1 because the repeater is very different. So on receive we've got .4. It's still in lock, I don't need to adjust it, but it's a trimmer capacitor, which is this one through that hole. So that's within what they say. So it's been previously set properly, hasn't it? So go back to channel 2, which is 433.55, and we want this to be on frequency. So this time TC101 is the adjustment. Remember TC701 was the VCO. So into transmit 433.55. Wasn't it? Channel 3 525, channel 4 550, channel 1 whatever our repeater is 438.45. Good. So that's now on frequency. So what we're doing next, we want you to do transmit power. We're going to set it for 25 watts. I mean, my license has changed, hasn't it, recently? Has it gone from 400 watts to 1,000? You know, like, you know, I'm Class A, aren't I? I've got the full license from a bygone era with Morse code as well. So, I don't think I've got anything which does more than 65 watts. I'm just not interested. I'm more bothered about things that are 5 watts, to be quite honest with you. And you know what? I'm not even interested in talking outside of this country. I think 65 miles is a fantastic copy. Way, bring it on, fantastic, super duper. So when I used to do scuba diving as a hobby when I was about 29, 30 years old. I'm now 61. And the way this chest thing's going, I don't think I'll be going much further. It turns up at this dive site at what did they say at the club meeting? We were going to meet at this dive site at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it was like 60 miles away. So why can't we just meet at 10 o'clock? Well, you're not very enthusiastic, are you? No. No, I'm not. So, where were we? Power adjustment. Do not transmit for more than 5 minutes. Adjust RV104. So you've got two presets. 104 is the high power setting, and 105 is the low power setting. So when we were programming it, we were given the option of high or low power. So I've set them all for high, so we won't be touching that because we haven't got anything to reference it against. So we'll go back to our normal. This service manual is so big, I can't find the remote control. So on this band, this radio is doing 18 watts. So we are out of band with the putting it on ham, and there's no adjustments. So your 25 watt radio is 18. I like these little Baofeng things that people have got, and they offer a 10 watt one. You can't have a 10 watt hand portable. It's not legal because it detaches the retina in your eye. You know, these things have been determined by the United States government, and 7 watts is the safe limit for a hand portable. And those Baofengs are actually 4. And then there's the super duper one, which is 4 and a tiny bit. Absolute BS. So remember, we're taking a business radio, we're taking it slightly out of band, so it's not going to perform as it's supposed to. Right, I've got that off my chest. I'll just make sure we've not got anything shenanigans with the low power setting, making some silly kind of thing that shouldn't happen. But no, we've quite clearly got. Mind you, what's my power input? I think we'll just check the power input because I'm not on the normal power supply. This power supply isn't digital readout. It uses analog meters. It's one of these 10 amp things, and because our normal bench power supply is 3 amp. So when we do business radios, we do have to move on to a different power supply. So although its analog meter says 13.8, is it? Well, I thought that was power. I don't know if I can even reach that far. Well, we'll go up to the power supply. Yeah, it is, isn't it? You see that 13.8, yeah. So the power's all right. I've put quite a hefty. I've made a power lead up for it. We've got those T connectors in stock. Well, we did have till I used this one. So it ought to be another offering we do on eBay. I'll have to order some more in. Right, so there we go. We've done that. They actually suggest 1 watt for low power, but most UK licenses are going to be 5 watts if they're down there for business radio. Frequency accuracy, we've done that. Receiver alignment. Oh, we need to do the squelch. So RV 103 or 102, depending whether it's VHF or UHF. So this is the squelch. So all we've got on here is detector. It's an automatic wideband receive, so that has no adjustment. So T101, T103 is detector. Quadratry they call it, quite correctly, which is there. You notice we've got 2 filters as to whether we're 12.5 or 25 spacing. This is what should be happening in CB radios that are AM and FM, because you need different filters, but they're compromised. They have the deviation really low to compensate, and I think that is absolute crap. Especially when you may expect a single filter, and it's a £59.99 set. But when it's a £200 set, why isn't there another filter? There isn't another filter because they've spent all the money on stupid bells and whistles and a colour screen that does absolutely nothing. Can you see how impressed I am? Good. So at least that's done properly. So here we go. I need to put 433.5 on my signal generator, and that's a major move on my dials. Put that up on the frequency counter, which is there somewhere. Pretty fine up here. I can sort this setting. I'll do. So, can I connect our test equipment? Oscilloscope on, SINAD meter on. So, I mean, I'm at 0.3 of a microvolts and I can still hear it. So we've got SINAD of what? We've got 0.44 microvolts for 12 dB SINAD. So, I mean, that's fine. Bearing in mind it's out of band. So I'm going to put 100 microvolts S9 equivalent on. Turn the volume till we've got a sensible trace on the oscilloscope. Do the detector. Little tiny marginal thing there. I think we'll be doing the other with the SINAD meter. that's about. I'm just dancing around the edges there. SINAD shouldn't have changed. 0.44 for 12 dB SINAD. 0.38 for 10 dB SINAD and 0.95 for 20 dB SINAD. So I don't know whether the specification is written down here as to what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to be, for 12 dB SINAD, it's minus 119 dBm. So you'll have to look that up because I haven't got I don't think I've got my chart here, so I'm not good at the moment. I'm in microvolts. Right, what have we got left? So we've done all that. Oh, it says 0.3. They want it to be 0.3 for 12 dB. So we're not quite at 0.3. We're at 0.4. 0.3 would be there, and it's 7 dB because we're out of band. But the sensitivity which it's doing is absolutely fine. Certainly knocked the spots out of a lot of ham radio sets. Remember, these are built for 25 years constant use. Squelch adjustment, well, we're just going to adjust it till it stops making a noise, aren't we? But what we do need to do is we need to do deviation. So let's just take the tone off, set squelch. So still override it with the monitor button, just like that. So we need to do deviation, and because it's got digital code squelch as well, I think we've got 3 adjustments. We want to do the normal deviation, and where is that? Audio deviation. It's 402 for deviation, and 402. Well, we'll do this a different way around. 402 is there, and CTCSS and digital code squelch deviation is in fact there. So we'll do this one first, see whether the Marconi test set's being dodgy today. Major read tune, 430 something. Wallow. He's saying 3.1. I'll just test it with the test set behind me, which will also do UHF, just so we know whether the Marconi test set is lying on deviation today. Wallow. That is far too high. I think it's been used on 25 channel spacing. Wallow. Wallow. I can't read it. I need one pair of glasses to do the adjustment, and a different pair of glasses to look at the test set. I'd like to use the spectral type of trimming tool, and I haven't got one on this bench. So we'll use that one. Wow. Good, well now we've got nothing. Wallow. There we go. So we've got 2.5 peak there. So similar channel spacing, 12.5 kcs. The CB radios are being 10 kc. So we're looking at the same kind of deviation. Now I need to get the CTCSS right. We'll do this on the Marconi test set, which for some reason is showing you a picture of the oscilloscope. Right, so deviation on here is showing what? Wallow. It is actually showing right, it's 2.5. Wallow. Well, it was the last time. Testing one. Wallow. Now, so what I now need to do is to look at the CTCSS deviation, and that needs to be, I want it to be 0.37. Now normally your CTCSS deviation is 10% of your system deviation. So if we look at 2.5 peak for the speech, we're looking at 0.25 for CTCSS. That might be all well and good, but in reality it needs to be a little bit higher, we've found in experience. Especially for using Tate radios, which seem to be less sensitive to CTCSS. So we're going to set it to 0.37 instead. I'm going to set my, I'm now daren't. I was going to say, so what I'm looking at is I want CTCSS deviation. So we'll now go to my repeater channel, which has got CTCSS set. I'll probably have to retune this. Yep, wallow, 1, 2. Wallow. So can we see when I've let go of the mic, I'm holding it against my knee, that there's 0.5, there's 1 point, that's 2.5, so I actually want it to be somewhere down there. Change scales. I'm going to have to go back on the other test set. See if I can see what we're getting. I'm getting something, but it seems to be less than 0.25, so get the tool. Wallow. Oh, I'm getting CTCSS coming through on the other test set. Wallow 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Wallow. 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 That's not good. Between the two test sets, I'm not getting the results I'm looking for. But I think we're about right. It's only for me. We'd have to go on one of the other test sets which we use for business radio, which then means I can't do the demonstration. Whether or not I can talk to Mr. Chippy on a simplex channel through the dummy load, we'll give it a go. I'll just go out to the extension speaker, switch picture and picture off. G0GF, 2E0FKC. I'll just go and tell him to switch a radio on. Right, so we'll just, I've told Mr. Chippy that to be on the appropriate channel, so we're on SU21. G0GF, 2E0FKC, over.
G0GF, receiving you loud and clear.
Okay, roger on that, thank you. We're doing on the air test in about 5 minutes then. Right, well that solves that problem, and it's loud and clear. So we're just going from dummy load, to be honest. Right, I'll put the lid on it. And hope I've got the squelch setting right. Bearing in mind I did it with no aero connected. Tell you what, we'll just plug the CB aerial in, just so that it's got some kind of input. And that's our repeater, which I've been very naughty and keyed up with the wrong aerial. Right, okay, so I'll just screw that back together. We'll do an on the air test, and Bob's your uncle, as they say. That's turned a very cheap eBay item plus a not so cheap microphone into a 20-watt ham radio. Thanks for watching.